As you know, after the bad fate that Boruto had to accept because Ida changed his fate with Kawaki, and now Boruto is labeled as a rogue ninja and also betrayed Konoha. So now Boruto has a big threat. The village, even the Fire Nation elder, has decided that he will plan to capture Boruto and kill him. Besides having to face threats and hatred from the shinobi world, and even the real world, Boruto also has to face such a great threat from the most dangerous entity, and that is Shinju. But despite the fate that Boruto has to bear alone with his determination and his ninja path as an Uzumaki, Boruto will face all the suffering alone. However, in the future there will be some ninjas who will be on Boruto's side and become his allies to get a better future. But before I explain which shinobi have already allied with Boruto up to chapter 21, here are some shinobi who have great potential to become Boruto's allies in the future. But disclaimer guys, this is just speculation, along with some reasons that I believe make a lot of sense. First is Konohamaru, and that's only if he becomes self-aware and opens his eyes wide. Why? First, Boruto helped him when Hidari and Jura attacked Konoha, even though, in the end, Boruto still received poor treatment. Second, at the brink of his death against Matsuri, Boruto chose to save him instead of prioritizing the major threat that would await him for helping Konohamaru, and that was Jura. Because, according to the future timeline Koji saw, Boruto would be captured by Jura and killed instantly. As terrifying as that sounds, that's what Koji said. The point is, Konohamaru should really open his eyes and follow his heart more, setting aside the reality in his head that Boruto is a traitor ninja. That's at least what Shikamaru did when he chose to side with Boruto by following his heart. Second is Toneri Otsutsuki. Among the Otsutsuki, Toneri is perhaps one of the more mysterious entities. Not only is he from the Otsutsuki clan, but he isn't entirely evil like most of the other clan members. And although he hasn't been directly confirmed in the manga, his connection with the Jogan Eye makes him one of the most influential potential allies in the future. In the Boruto anime, Toneri appears in Boruto's dream and warns him about the eye that will lose everything, the Jogan. This indirectly shows that Toneri wants to help Boruto face major threats, including those from the Otsutsuki clan itself. So the main reason Toneri could become an ally in the future is none other than because his ideals differ from those of the typical Otsutsuki. So what do you guys think? Third is Inoshikacho, but among the three, Inojin has the greatest potential. The reason is that the Yamanaka clan has the ability to read minds and access hidden information. If Inojin, or his mother Ino, starts to doubt the altered version of history, they might uncover evidence that Boruto is not a traitor. This could pave the way for more Konoha shinobi to side with Boruto, especially Chocho and Shikadai. Fourth is Shinki, but that depends on whether Jura tries to seize Togodama Ryu after Sarada defeats him. Why? If Jura enters the battlefield to take the Togodama Ryu before facing Boruto, there's a high possibility that Ryu could be resurrected. Still, the key point is, despite the world's perception of Boruto as a traitor, shinobi from outside Konoha might actually be more inclined to support him than those within the village itself. Moreover, Boruto's actions have clearly shown the world that he is not a traitor. In fact, he stands with Konoha and has even destroyed the Shinju. In other words, this serves as solid proof to shinobi outside the village and gives them a strong reason to side with Boruto. Fifth is Himawari. Actually, among other allies, Himawari is a ninja who has a probability of being on Boruto's side, especially they have the same blood. In other words, it is possible that in the end, the Kurama in Himawari's body will tell the truth about the destiny that was exchanged between Kawaki and Boruto. Sixth is Orochimaru. The reason why I chose Orochimaru is of course because he is Mitsuki's parent. Especially as a scientist, it is very impossible if he does not have the same abilities and knowledge as Amado. In other words, if Amado is not affected by Zeno's ability, then Orochimaru also has the same probability. And if Orochimaru is on Boruto's side, this will also be a big advantage, especially since he is a legendary Sannin. Seventh is Gaara and Tsunagakure. Right now we can't be sure if Gaara will die or not, but let's say it's the best possibility. Gaara survived, and as someone who was once a Shukaku vessel, it's very likely that he was not affected by Zeno's abilities. Moreover, Gaara is a close friend of Naruto and is wise enough to question the sudden change in Boruto's history. If Boruto can tell him the truth, Gaara might support him in secret or even help from behind the scenes. 8th is Amado. The biggest reason is because Amado is an enigmatic character. He has hidden plans and often sides with who benefits him the most, especially since the revelation of the secret about Kawaki's power being adjusted by Amado. Along with Boruto having an ally who can see the future, this has become a favorable situation for Amado himself to ally with Boruto, although the percentage is small but still has a chance. 9th is Daemon. Although Daemon has no business dealing with Boruto's problems, the reason is simple. Daemon is currently on the side of Kawaki and Ida, but he has a unique personality. If Daemon feels bored and wants a more interesting challenge, there is a possibility that he will turn around and become an ally of Boruto and defeat the threat of the Divine Tree Man. 10th is Killer Bee. Killer Bee is the only Jinchuriki who has survived since the Naruto era. If Boruto wants to master the power of Otsutsuki in him, who better as a mentor than Bee, who has experience as a Jinchuriki and fights against Otsutsuki? If he is still alive, he can help Boruto control the power of the Momoshiki inside him. Especially, I'm sure, if Killer Bee is a Jinchuriki who is not affected by Zeno's ability. Lastly is Hidari. Yeah, you guys are right, he is the villain for now. But speaking of the future, I believe that as a manifestation of Uchiha Sasuke, Hidari will most likely become a traitor and side with Boruto. And those are at least 10 shinobi or entities with the potential to become Boruto's allies in the future. But aside from them, here are 8 shinobi who have already allied themselves with Boruto. First is Sarada. She was the first person to side with Boruto after Ida altered his destiny with Kawaki and everyone wanted to kill him. The reason Sarada stands by Boruto is that, deep in her heart, Ida's omnipotence has no effect on her. The second is Sumire. Actually, for Sumire, this is most likely the same as Sarada. From the heart and the deepest love for Boruto, even if Ida changes Boruto's destiny, love will not be able to change reality even once. In other words, because of love, Sumire is not affected by omnipotence. And so far, the most reasonable reason why Sumire and Sarada are not affected by omnipotence is because of love. The third is Sasuke. Actually, Sasuke is a person who is affected by Ida's omnipotence. Even Sasuke also initially thought that Boruto was a traitor, but because of his daughter Sarada, Sasuke listened more to his daughter's heart and obeyed her wishes to protect Boruto. So the reason why Sasuke is on Boruto's side is because of Sarada herself. The fourth is Kashin Koji. From the beginning, he was created by Amado. Koji was a villain. He even almost killed Konohamaru. However, as time went on and their goals conflicted with the Kara organization, Amado and Koji decided to betray the organization and side with Konoha. But that only applies to Amado, because actually Koji's job only ends until he takes out the Ishiki in Jigen's body. But because of a divine miracle, when he was on the verge of death, he got the power of a god who could see the future. And since then, he decided to keep living until he finally saw an opportunity to save the world from destruction alongside Boruto. So, the reason why Koji is on Boruto's side, even though he was originally a villain, of course the biggest reason is because Boruto is hope to save the world. But if you ask what the advantage is for a cyborg like Kashin Koji, most likely the answer is because of his responsibility and heart's desire. Moreover, in addition to having the genes of a legendary Sannin, he has also said that he has a fateful bond with Konoha. What do you think, guys? The fifth is Shikamaru. The fact is that it is true that Shikamaru was influenced by Ida's omnipotence from the beginning. Even as hard as Sarada said that Boruto was innocent, Shikamaru still thought that Boruto was a traitor. But over time, he thought based on his logic and heart. Starting from analysis as a genius ninja, he collected some evidence and also gradually listened to Boruto's explanation. Although in reality, Shikamaru's memory always insists on rejecting Boruto's innocence, but Shikamaru always uses logic and his heart to consider all of Boruto's words. So the reason why Shikamaru is on Boruto's side right now is because of the logic of trusting his heart. And this is in accordance with Koji's statement when Shikamaru helped Boruto escape from interrogation. The sixth is Mitsuki. Although at the beginning he was just like the other ninjas who wanted to kill Boruto, but since his fight with Boruto in Chapter 7, Mitsuki began to realize who the real son was. In other words, the result of his battle also seemed to open the eyes of his heart as to who was actually his son. Moreover, the role of Kawaki to Mitsuki seemed to prove doubts if Kawaki was not the son. So the reason why Mitsuki became Boruto's ally was certainly the biggest reason because of Talk no Jutsu Chapter 7 after his fight against Boruto. The seventh is Ida. You can believe it or not, but you can consider this. Ida will become Boruto's ally, of course, because of her own desire. Especially after Ida changed Boruto's destiny. Ida met Boruto for the last time, before Boruto left Konoha. Ida seemed to feel guilty for making Boruto suffer. On the other hand, Ada had admiration or something for Boruto when Ida in Chapter 7 saw the conversation between Boruto and Mitsuki. But certainly Ada became Boruto's ally because she followed her heart. Especially now that Ida is currently siding with Koji, this also indirectly confirms that Ida is on Boruto's side. 8th is Kawaki. Yeah, it's true that Kawaki is the one who wanted to kill Boruto after he became the vessel for Momoshiki. But even so, that doesn't prove or fully confirm that Kawaki is on Boruto's side. Because ultimately, Kawaki's goal has always been to kill Boruto in order to protect Naruto and eliminate the threat of Momoshiki. But that was at least before Chapter 15 came out. With some of the secrets that Boruto revealed about all the power that Amado had adjusted, Boruto openly invited Kawaki to cooperate to destroy the entire world threat from Shinju. But even though Kawaki accepted Boruto's offer to cooperate, Boruto was still on principle willing to die killed by Kawaki if at any time Momoshiki possessed him. And that's at least 10 entities who are very likely to become Boruto's allies in the future, and 8 shinobi who have already allied with Boruto up until Chapter 21. But of course, as the story conflict develops and time goes on, more shinobi from outside the village will surely become Boruto's allies, whether they're Junin or even Akagi themselves. But according to your version, who do you think would be the most ideal ally for Boruto in the future, guys? I'm looking forward to hearing your opinions. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, I'm Nim. See you in the next episode. Bye bye, Databayo.